Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book contained over 1,000 names and contact details. Princes, presidents, billionaires, scientists, celebrities. When he died in 2019, everyone expected full transparency. Instead, thousands of pages of court documents remain sealed. Names are redacted, flight logs are incomplete, and the people with the power to release everything have chosen not to. This is the story of Epstein's connections, what we know, what's been hidden, and why the most powerful people in the world want this to stay buried. In 2009, Epstein's former house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, tried to sell a black book to attorneys. It wasn't just any address book. It contained names, phone numbers, and email addresses of over 1,000 people connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Circled names, notations, some entries marked with details that suggested closer relationships. The book included contact information for people at the highest levels of power: British royalty, American presidents, Hollywood A-listers, billionaire CEOs, prominent scientists, world leaders. Rodriguez thought this book was evidence. He thought it proved Epstein's network extended far beyond what investigators knew. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison for trying to sell it. Obstruction of justice, they said. The book was confiscated, and for years its contents remained largely unknown to the public. Then, in 2015, a version was leaked and published by Gawker. The world could finally see the names. But seeing names in a contact book doesn't prove crimes. It doesn't prove anyone knew about Epstein's activities. It just proves they knew Epstein. The question that haunts this story: who knew what, and when did they know it? This isn't about conspiracy theories. This is about documented connections, flight logs, court depositions, and a network of power that worked very hard to protect itself. To understand the Black Book, you need to understand how Epstein built his network. The origin story that doesn't add up. Jeffrey Epstein claimed to be a billionaire financier. He owned a private island in the Caribbean, a mansion in Manhattan, an estate in Palm Beach, a ranch in New Mexico, and an apartment in Paris. He flew on a private Boeing 727 nicknamed the Lolita Express. But here's the problem. No one can explain where his money came from. Epstein started as a teacher at Manhattan's Dalton School in the 1970s despite lacking a college degree. He left teaching and somehow landed a job at Bear Stearns Investment Bank. By 1982, he'd founded his own firm, J. Epstein & Co., claiming to only work with billionaires. But which billionaires? He only had one confirmed major client, Leslie Wexner, founder of L Brands, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works. Wexner gave Epstein power of attorney over his finances and even transferred his Manhattan mansion to Epstein for $0. Financial experts who have examined Epstein's known assets estimate his wealth at around $500 million, substantial, but far from billionaire status. And the source of even that money remains murky. The island. Epstein purchased Little St. James Island in the U.S. Virgin Islands in 1998 for $7.95 million. Locals called it Pedophile Island. He built a compound there, main residence, guest houses, and a bizarre temple-like structure with a golden dome. Flight logs show dozens of trips to the island. Witnesses describe young women arriving by plane and boat. Construction workers reported seeing underage girls. One worker stated he once saw former President Bill Clinton on the island, though Clinton denies this. The island had cameras everywhere. Guest rooms had hidden cameras. Epstein allegedly recorded everything. This wasn't just a private retreat. It was potentially a blackmail factory. The network strategy. Epstein cultivated relationships systematically. He donated to scientific research, hosting conferences at his properties. He befriended academics from Harvard, MIT, and other prestigious institutions. He positioned himself as a connector, someone who could bring together brilliant minds and wealthy donors. He threw parties, invited celebrities, offered his plane for travel, provided access to his properties, and according to court documents, he brought young women to these gatherings, presenting them as massage therapists or assistants. Some people in his orbit were complicit, some were merely duped by his persona, and some, according to victims, actively participated in abuse. The Black Book is just one piece of evidence, but when you cross-reference it with flight logs, witness testimony, and court depositions, patterns emerge. Epstein's private jet made over 600 flights between 1998 and 2005. Pilots kept detailed logs, dates, routes, and passenger manifests. These logs have been partially released through court proceedings. High-profile names in flight logs. Bill Clinton appears on flight logs at least 26 times between 2001 and 2003. Clinton has stated he took a total of 4 trips on Epstein's plane for Clinton Foundation work. Flight logs contradict this. Clinton's spokesman later admitted to additional trips but maintains Clinton knew nothing of Epstein's crimes. Prince Andrew, multiple flights documented. Photos show him at Epstein's Manhattan mansion and with Virginia Giuffre, who was 17 at the time. Andrew claims he doesn't remember meeting her, despite photographic evidence. He paid an undisclosed settlement to Giuffre in 2022. Donald Trump appears on flight logs for a 1997 flight from Palm Beach to Newark. Trump has said he flew on Epstein's plane once and knew Epstein socially in the 1990s, but banned him from Mar-a-Lago after allegations surfaced. Kevin Spacey appears on flight logs for a 2002 trip to Africa with Bill Clinton and Chris Tucker for humanitarian work. Naomi Campbell, Chris Tucker, and others. Various celebrities appear on logs for what appear to be legitimate trips, often with multiple passengers, suggesting standard travel rather than suspicious activity. What flight logs don't prove. Critical point: being on a flight log doesn't prove knowledge of or participation in crimes. Epstein's plane was large. It had 12 passenger seats. He often offered it for legitimate travel. Many people flew on it for conferences, humanitarian trips, or business. What the logs do show: who was in Epstein's circle, who accepted his hospitality, who maintained relationships with him even after his 2008 conviction. The missing logs. Here's the problem: we don't have all the flight logs. The released logs cover 1998-2005 heavily, but other periods are missing or incomplete. Pilots have testified that not all flights were logged, especially shorter trips. Some flights show only partial manifests, passenger names with +2 or +guest, without identifying the additional passengers. And crucially, the logs show plane travel, but not boat arrivals at the island. Multiple boats serviced Little St. James. Those passenger lists have never been made public. But the most revealing information comes not from books or flight logs, but from the women who came forward with testimony under oath. Virginia Giuffre's testimony. Virginia Roberts, now Virginia Giuffre, was 16 when she was recruited to work for Epstein. In multiple depositions and court filings, she detailed being trafficked to powerful men. Her testimony under oath named Prince Andrew. Photographic evidence supports her account. Alan Dershowitz, he has vigorously denied and sued. Jean-Luc Brunel, modeling agent, arrested in France 2020, found dead in cell 2022. Various others whose names remain sealed in court documents. Giuffre has been consistent in her core narrative across years of testimony. When provable details can be checked, they've held up. Dershowitz has sued her for defamation. She's countersued. Both cases were settled with no admission of wrongdoing. Johanna S. Joberg's testimony. Another victim testified about being trafficked as a young woman. Her sealed deposition became partially public in 2024. She corroborated details about Epstein's operation and named individuals she encountered. Her testimony described the system: recruitment, grooming, then pressure to provide massages to Epstein and his associates. She described being flown to various locations and introduced to prominent people. Maria Farmer's account. An artist who worked for Epstein in 1996, Maria Farmer reported sexual assault by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She reported it to FBI and NYPD in 1996. Nothing happened. She watched for years as Epstein continued operating, recruiting younger and younger girls. Her testimony established the early timeline and implicated Ghislaine Maxwell as an active participant in recruitment and assault. The pattern in testimony: multiple women, testifying independently across different years and jurisdictions, describe the same system. 1. Recruitment of young women, 14-17 years old primarily. 2. Grooming through money, gifts, and promises. 3. Gradual escalation of abuse. 4. Trafficking to Epstein's associates. 5. Use of multiple locations: Palm Beach, Manhattan Island, New Mexico. Their testimonies are detailed, specific, and corroborate each other on key facts, even though many didn't know each other. The women testified. Epstein was charged, and then before he could testify himself, he died in a Manhattan jail cell. The arrest. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, returning from Paris. He was charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. Federal prosecutors in New York unsealed an indictment detailing abuse of dozens of girls between 2000 to 2005. This was different from his 2008 plea deal in Florida, where he served just 13 months in a work release program. This was federal in New York, with prosecutors who weren't making deals. Epstein's arrest sent shockwaves through elite circles. He knew secrets. He potentially had blackmail material. He had names. If he cooperated with prosecutors, powerful people would be implicated. The death. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell at Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, officially ruled suicide by hanging. But the circumstances raised questions. He was on suicide watch, then removed from it days before death. His cellmate was transferred out the day before, leaving him alone. Guards didn't check on him for hours, violating protocol. Both cameras monitoring his cell malfunctioned. His hyoid bone was broken, more common in strangulation than hanging, though can occur in either. Autopsy conducted by Michael Baden, same coroner who examined JFK, concluded the evidence was more consistent with homicide. The aftermath. Epstein's death meant he could never testify against associates. He could never cut a deal and name names. Criminal charges against him ended. Can't prosecute the dead. Much potential evidence died with him. Attorney General William Barr called the death a perfect storm of screw-ups. The FBI investigated. 2 guards were charged with falsifying records, charges later dropped. No one was charged with more serious crimes. Conspiracy theories exploded. But you don't need conspiracy theories when the documented facts are this suspicious. With Epstein dead, the focus shifted to Ghislaine Maxwell. Her trial would finally bring some accountability, but it also revealed how much would remain hidden. Ghislaine Maxwell, the accomplice. Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of disgraced media mogul Robert Maxwell, was Epstein's longtime associate and alleged co-conspirator. Victims described her as recruiting girls and normalizing Epstein's behavior. In July 2020, she was arrested. In December 2021, she went to trial. In June 2022, she was sentenced to 20 years for sex trafficking minors. What the trial revealed. The trial established facts. Epstein ran a sex trafficking operation from 1994 to 2004, At minimum, Maxwell actively recruited underage girls. The operation involved multiple properties. Dozens of victims, prosecutors interviewed over 40. Systematic grooming and abuse. What the trial concealed. During the trial, over 1,000 pages of documents related to Maxwell's 2015 defamation case were under seal. Judge Allison Nathan ruled some could be unsealed, but hundreds of pages remained sealed, including names of associates, redacted as John does, testimony about other individuals, details about specific incidents involving unnamed third parties. The public versions of documents are heavily redacted. Black bars cover names, locations, and identifying details. The 2024 document release. In January 2024, a new batch of documents was unsealed following a court order. Media reported Epstein documents released as if it was full transparency. It wasn't. What was released? Names of people already publicly known to be connected. Some testimony excerpts already reported. Flight log information already circulating. What was not released? Full unredacted depositions. Complete list of John Does. All evidence about living individuals who haven't been charged. Photographs and videos allegedly seized from Epstein's properties. The judge cited privacy concerns for people not charged with crimes, but victims' advocates argue that protecting privacy enables cover-ups. So who are the sealed names? We don't know all of them, but we know categories of people who appear in documents. It's crucial to distinguish between levels of connection. Being in Epstein's orbit doesn't equal guilt, but it raises questions about what people knew and when. Category 1. Confirmed criminals. Jeffrey Epstein, deceased Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted, serving 20 years. Jean-Luc Brunel, arrested 2020, found dead in cell 2022, ruled suicide. Category 2. Settled allegations. Prince Andrew, paid settlement to Virginia Giuffre, amount undisclosed, estimated $15 million. Settlement included no admission of wrongdoing. Stripped of military titles and royal patronages. Category 3. Named in testimony, denied no charges. Multiple individuals have been named in victim testimony but deny allegations and have not been charged. Some have sued for defamation. Legal settlements have gone both ways. This category includes prominent lawyers, academics, politicians, and business people. Naming specific individuals without charges would be legally problematic, but court documents contain these names under seal. Category 4. Social professional connections. Many people in Epstein's Black Book and on flight logs had legitimate professional or social relationships. Scientists and academics, Epstein donated to MIT, Harvard, and other institutions. He hosted scientific conferences. Many prominent scientists attended these events. Being at a conference doesn't imply knowledge of crimes. Business associates. Epstein interacted with Wall Street figures, hedge fund managers, and entrepreneurs. Business dealings don't equal complicity in trafficking. Celebrities. Various actors, models, and public figures appear in photos at Epstein's parties or on flight logs. Photos at parties prove attendance, not participation in crimes. The gray zone. The most difficult category. People who had ongoing relationships with Epstein after his 2008 conviction. His 2008 conviction was public. He was registered as a sex offender. Anyone maintaining close ties after 2008 knew they were associating with a convicted sex offender. Some people cut ties immediately, others didn't. Why? That question remains unanswered for many individuals. This wasn't just about individuals. Institutions failed systematically. The 2008 sweetheart deal. In 2008, Epstein was facing federal charges in Florida. Evidence was substantial. FBI had identified 36 victims, some as young as 14. Then Alexander Acosta, U.S. Attorney for Southern District of Florida, offered a deal. Plead guilty to 2 state prostitution charges. Serve 18 months, served 13. Work release 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Register as sex offender. Immunity for any co-conspirators. This is extremely unusual. Non-prosecution agreement kept secret from victims, likely illegal. Acosta later claimed he was told to back off because Epstein belonged to intelligence. He resigned as Trump's labor secretary in 2019 when the deal resurfaced. The FBI's inaction. Maria Farmer reported Epstein to FBI and NYPD in 1996. Nothing happened. Multiple victims reported to FBI in the 2000s. Investigation was slow. Even after 2008 conviction, FBI didn't pursue associates aggressively. Why the delays? Why the reluctance to investigate connected individuals? The media silence. Major media outlets knew about Epstein's activities for years but didn't publish. Why? ABC News had testimony from Virginia Giuffer in 2015. They didn't air it. Hot mic recording caught anchors saying, "We had it all, but network killed the story." Various journalists report being pressured to drop Epstein investigations. Rumors of threatened lawsuits, publisher interference, and pressure from powerful people. The enablers. Epstein didn't operate alone. Beyond Maxwell, others facilitated. Pilots who flew underage girls. Staff at properties who saw young women coming and going. Accountants and lawyers who managed his affairs. Associates who recruited girls. Some cooperated with investigators. Many haven't been charged. The question isn't just who knew. It's why so many people and institutions worked to keep this quiet for so long, and what they're still protecting. One theory explains Epstein's protection: blackmail. The hidden camera network. Multiple witnesses describe cameras throughout Epstein's properties. Hidden in bedrooms, in massage rooms, in living areas, on the island. Epstein allegedly recorded everything: parties, private encounters, compromising situations. If you have video of powerful people in compromising situations, especially illegal situations, you have leverage, you have protection, you have power. The intelligence connection. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, had documented connections to Israeli intelligence, Mossad. He died mysteriously in 1991, falling off his yacht. After his death, it emerged he'd been involved in arms dealing and intelligence operations. Ghislaine grew up in that world. Some researchers speculate Epstein's operation had intelligence connections, gathering blackmail material on powerful people for state purposes. There's no proven evidence of this, but Alexander Acosta's comment about Epstein belonging to intelligence lingers, and the protection Epstein received from prosecution is hard to explain otherwise. The blackmail would explain why powerful people maintained relationships despite risk, why investigations were slow and limited, why Epstein got extraordinary plea deal, why so many names remain sealed, why there's so much resistance to full transparency. If Epstein's death wasn't suicide but murder, blackmail would explain motive. Whoever killed him would need to recover or destroy the blackmail material. The FBI raid on Epstein's properties seized computers, hard drives, and CDs. What was on them? Where are they now? Despite Maxwell's conviction and document releases, massive gaps remain. The sealed John Does. Court documents reference over 150 John Does, unnamed individuals. Some have been revealed, many haven't. Reasons for sealing. Not charged with crimes, privacy protection. Potential witnesses, safety concerns. Ongoing investigations, prosecutor discretion. Powerful people with good lawyers, legal pressure. The missing evidence. FBI seized from Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. Computers and servers. Hundreds of CDs and hard drives. Photographs. Documents. What was on them? Has it been analyzed? Has anyone been charged based on this evidence? We don't know. The unquestioned associates. Many people in Epstein's sphere have never been publicly questioned. Staff at his properties. Pilots who flew the plane. Accountants who managed finances. Lawyers who set up trusts and corporations. Why haven't we heard testimony from these people? The other victims. Prosecutors interviewed over 40 victims for Maxwell trial. We've heard detailed testimony from maybe 5-6. What about the others? What did they say? Who did they name? The financial mystery. Where did Epstein's money come from? Who paid him for what? His financial records should answer this. They haven't been made public. Why not? Follow the money, they say, but we're not allowed to follow it. Public pressure for document release increased dramatically in 2024. Judge's dilemma. Judge Loretta Prescott has overseen document unsealing. She faces competing pressures. Public interest in transparency. Privacy rights of people not charged. Potential defamation, liability. Safety concerns for witnesses. Ongoing investigation interest. She's unsealed some documents, but the pace has been slow, and heavy redactions remain. Victim advocates push. Survivors and their advocates argue. Secrecy protects perpetrators. Public has right to know who enabled Epstein. Transparency prevents future abuse. Names are already widely speculated. Confirming truth prevents witch hunts. The political pressure. Both political parties have Epstein connections. Both have people in his orbit. This creates bipartisan interest in limited transparency. If documents dropped names that crossed party lines, it could be devastating politically. So there's quiet agreement. Let's keep this contained. Today you can find copies of Epstein's Black Book online. You can see names. You can Google them. You can speculate. But the Black Book tells you who Epstein knew, not what they did. And that's the crucial distinction everyone focuses on. Knowing someone isn't guilt. That's true, but here's what's also true. Jeffrey Epstein ran a sex trafficking operation for decades. Dozens of girls were abused. Powerful people were in his orbit. Some participated in crimes. Some knew and said nothing. Some were just duped by his persona. And after his arrest and death, after Maxwell's conviction, after years of investigations, thousands of pages of documents remain sealed. Names are redacted, evidence is withheld, and the people with power to release everything choose not to. Why? If everyone was innocent, if everyone was just duped, if no powerful people participated, then release it all. Prove it. Clear their names. The fact that they don't tells you something is being protected. The question is what? Maybe it's just privacy. Maybe courts are being appropriately careful about nomming people without charges. Maybe it's all above board. Or maybe, just maybe, the network extended further than we know. Maybe the blackmail material was real. Maybe powerful people did participate. Maybe intelligence agencies were involved. Maybe the truth is so explosive that keeping it sealed is seen as necessary. We may never know, because the people who could tell us are dead, convicted, or silent, and the documents that could reveal the truth remain sealed. Epstein's Black Book has over 1,000 names. We can read most of them online right now. But the names aren't the secret. The secret is what those people knew, what they did, and when they knew it. And that's in documents marked sealed, in evidence marked classified, in testimony marked redacted. The book is public, but the truth, that's still protected. By judges who say it's about privacy, by lawyers who say it's about fairness, by institutions that say it's about justice. But maybe it's about something simpler. Maybe it's about power. And maybe the most important thing we learn from Epstein's Black Book isn't who was in it. It's who has the power to keep us from knowing what they did.